All right, welcome everybody to the Thursday edition of the AFC Northcast. I'm Justin, here joined as always by Chad and Joey.
What's happening?
This Thursday evening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we're recording at the same time of the Ravens-Jets game, so you'll get a little bit of, a little bit of our reactions while we watch it, but it's not really looking like a whole lot of a game at this point. But either way, so we'll be getting into that. Do you guys have any predictions, I guess, for this game, even though there's a little bit already kind of going on with it?
Ravens smash.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens could win. Ball bounces their way, in the second half.
Yeah, if they're able to slow down Sam Darnold.
Yeah. I'll tell you that there's already been some interesting calls already that have and some interesting events. Things are starting to get chippy, so maybe there will be some exciting stuff to talk about as we get through the podcast. But we'll keep you guys informed if you're listening to us live. If you're listening to us after the fact, well, then maybe I guess you get a little bit of our live reactions to it. It's all good. But with that, what's up?
Not if, but when Robbie Anderson gets wide open and Sam Darnold misses him deep, we can talk about how the Ravens secondary isn't as good as advertised after 2 straight weeks of letting wide receivers get open.
Yeah. So
you mean after giving up 17 points and then 17 points again, or whatever they gave up to the Bills?
I can't make
that. What a cruddy secondary.
Passes. I can't make them do it from here. This is called armchair quarterbacking, Joey. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. The Ravens haven't played any good quarterbacks either this year. Only
Russell
Wilson and Deshaun Watson and Tom Brady.
To be honest, though, bringing up the Bills game, though, the Bills are not necessarily offensive juggernauts, to say the least. But
you're on.
Dude, they had receivers open. If Joey wants to deny that the Bills had wide receivers open past the secondary and that the Ravens were using zero coverage, which means the safeties were all down in the box and they're trusting their corners to go man on man, and they were losing, he can make that case and then he can rewatch the game and just be wrong. Josh Allen missed some throws. It's the way it is. Robbie Anderson is going to get open. I'm just telling you. We can talk about it.
Well, yeah, that's how you play against teams with good run games and cruddy quarterbacks.
You just said to yourself, Joey, that the Ravens haven't played any good quarterbers. So,
well, no, we're specifically talking about Josh Allen and Sam Darnold right now.
Yeah, I know. But all right, let's talk about what this episode's about. This episode is going to be talking about NFL Week 15. This is going to be our preview for Week 15. And like I said, we're going to only be covering 3 of the games because the 4th one we're watching right now. But before we get into that, we'll get into some NFL news. So you guys got anything really interesting worth talking about?
Yeah, I would love for us to discuss the Pittsburgh Steelers Walter Payton Band of the Year, Marquise Pouncey.
Yeah.
Because I know that Justin feels some type of way about it.
I honestly thought it was a joke. When you sent it to me, I was like, oh, that's funny. I get it. Like, because all you were talking about when when the event happened is how thug this fucking dude is. How this dude is like ride or die with, what's his name from the Patriots?
Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, like ride or die with that dude. And like, now all of a sudden you said he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year. And I was like, huh, that's funny. And you're like, no, it's serious. Here's the tweet. And it's something that I can only explain as... Clearly, it's not because I'm not tuned in to the Steelers and their organization and their players' efforts off the field. That's nothing to do with it. It's clearly because it's a PR move by the Steelers to make Marquise Pouncey look like a gentleman and not the thug he was on the field kicking Myles Garrett in the head.
Look. They're not lying about the things he does, so they're not falsifying his gentlemanly. He is a gentleman. He is totally deserving of this award, just like every major player on every team. These guys all do so much stuff for their communities. It doesn't matter who wins the award. The point is to show that when these guys aren't bench pressing and hitting people, they're out in their communities trying to make lives better, because the NFL and these players takes a lot of time and effort to get these people out there in the communities doing. Marquise Pouncey deserves it just as much as any other Steeler, and frankly, it's brilliant marketing to do it right now because the fans are already on his. He defended his quarterback. Like, they're already on his side, and he's not apologetic about it either. He came back from the suspension and was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. If you swing a club at my quarterback, I'm going to kill you. And you know what? After I'm done, I'm going to go hand out turkeys on Thanksgiving. It's going to be...
So you agree that it's a PR move?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is for every team. They all pick a guy as a PR move, and this is a smart... I don't see how you look at it any other way. It's smart. It's not like he doesn't do the stuff. Unless we find out he doesn't. And then it's
let's say, yeah. Actually, he's been trafficking women. But no, that's not. That was completely. Please don't kill me. Anyways, so any other interesting news you guys want to talk about?
I don't care. We were talking about saying something about something, but I don't even remember what it was. So I think we should ignore Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just ignore it. Just like I'm going to ignore the Pro Bowl.
Exactly. Yep. Doesn't even matter.
And then what was the other thing? Oh. It was about one of the games. Spygate 2.
2.0.
Spygate 2. What was the quote, Joey, of the guy? I'll do it. So when the guy got caught filming the Bengals sideline, he said, "How about I just delete it and then we forget about all this?" It was classic.
Forget this ever happened.
It was classic. If any, I love it. I love it. I honestly, now that I've heard that sort of professional handling of a situation with authority, I take it back. I think this is all above board. Free the Patriots of another draft pick. They're cheaters. Yeah. They are cheaters.
So I sided with like, I kind of think it's nothing. And now I think they're definitely freaking guilty. Like, it's just too much, man. Like, they're gonna do a Do Your Job documentary on the advanced scout. Like, they talked about it on the Tomahawk show. That's like the most secret position in an organization is like advanced scouting. It's the most closely guarded. It's very possible that the Patriots created Do Your Job a couple years ago after losing to the Eagles in the Super Bowl as like, yo, we need to get back on the Spygate shit, but we need a legitimate excuse. And they just used the same excuse they used before.
Yeah.
But now it's more legit because they can point at this documentary that they've been doing for years and be like, oh, look, it's for Do Your Job. Right, the most damning thing is the guy being like, hey guys, look, how about I just delete all of this and we call it good? Like, that's absurd. That's guilty.
I love it. And I love it that I'm going to be going to work tomorrow and I'm going to overhear all these conversations, chitter chatter, all these New England fans defending their little dynasty. Just trying to plug the holes in the dam with their little greasy fingers. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
That's funny.
I hope they manage it against the Bengals this week with all that intel.
Yeah, that's the other kicker. It's like, really? The Bengals, man? Like,
well, to close out in halftime, the Ravens just got a pick in the red zone. So they picked off Sam Darnold. So there you go. Still 7-21.
Like 5 minutes ago. You can see my reaction if you scroll back on the video.
I was trying to interrupt you guys, but I didn't want to.
Unsung hero of the defense, Chuck Clark. Probably the Ravens' defensive MVP this year, if we're going to be realistic. Marlon makes the splash plays, and Marcus Peters makes the splash plays, but Chuck Clark has made this defense go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, Gary, common commonly commenting on our videos and talking to us, is at the Ravens game tonight.
Nice.
He said there's I told him he can be our live correspondent, and he's made his first report. There's a dog catching frisbees on the field at halftime. There's a few NFL teams that could give this dog a contract. Great deep thread.
You can tell that Gary really respects our in-depth analysis of football, if that's the news he's giving
our
us.
Journalistic credibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, emphasis on credibility. But yeah, man. So let's roll into the Bengals and the Patriots, I guess, since they're gonna have all the signals and calls. So here's the first question: is the Bengals coaching staff good enough to just completely switch everything up?
No,
it's not gonna matter. I mean,
Yeah. My next question was going to be: is it going to even make a difference? So here's something that I want to look at from this perspective, though: is in what universe, in what way, in what possibility could the Bengals win this game? Like, what has to happen?
I have 1 point of analysis for the Bengals offense, so we can maybe start with the offense.
Sure.
Houston, in their victory over the Patriots, kind of showed, and the Patriots have an excellent defense. No bones about it. I don't think anyone would argue that they're less than a top 5 and probably a top 3 defense. Sorry if I misspoke. But Houston did show in their victory over the Patriots that the Patriots linebackers are not fast, and so they struggle in coverage. So if you can get your running back running routes, they can get open and they can make big plays. Now, we've been watching a lot of Bengals, at least highlights if we're talking about Joey, because that's the game he skips in order to keep calm. I don't think Joe Mixon runs tons of routes. He's mostly effective on screens. I feel like they run a lot of screens to him, and frankly, on passing downs, they try to hide him. He's not a good pass protector. It's one of the things I've learned from the Locked On Bengals podcast is that they really try to phase him out and go to Giovanni Bernard on the passing play. So he's a good player, but Mixon is their game breaker. So my big question is, can the Bengals find a way to get Mixon involved in the passing it besides screens? Because the Patriots are going to be ready. They've been filming the Bengals sideline all week. They're going to know when the screens are coming. But can they get Mixon a couple of actual wheel routes maybe or anything clever like, or, I mean, do they really up the usage of Giovanni Bernard? Because that seems to be the one thing people agree is a weakness of the Patriots defense.
Well, Giovanni Bernard a couple years ago was like one of the best pass catching running backs in the league, right? It was like 4 years ago, something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously he's not the same as he was, but it seems like if that's something that if you can discern that as a weakness, then attack the weakness, right? Like that's what the Patriots always do to everybody else. They find your weak point and they attack it, right? So, maybe, potentially, I don't know. Joe Mixon had a hell of a game against the Browns, though, I'll say that much.
Yeah, well, that's why I would rather it be Joe Mixon, is I just think as in the open field as a game breaker, he's better. I just don't know if he's good enough to do what needs to be done.
Right.
To win. But that's what I'd be looking for in a world where the Bengals were competitive, especially because apparently John Ross left their last practice early with an injury. So I don't even know if he's going to play, and Auden Tate is on injured reserve. So if maybe Alex Erickson does like a real quick cycle of human growth hormone and then also gets better at the skills of being a wide receiver, maybe. But they don't really have the horses in the passing game aside. So it really comes down to the running backs to me.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know, man. Andy Dalton feels like a wild card. Like he can have the potential to throw for 300 to 400 yards a game too. So I don't know. That might be exciting. But I mean, against the Patriots, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to like find a way to play it up, but
yeah, I think there's pretty much zero way.
I hope that the Patriots get decimated now.
It'll be interesting to see how and if the Patriots score. They had the touchdown to N'Keal Harry. I think it was Harry last week.
The one that was called back.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was him.
So maybe Tom is starting to build some trust in those guys, because right now it's very clear the only guy he trusts is Julian Edelman. And so obviously I think this game is more about the Pats than the Bengals, just because of where we are in the season and playoffs and things like that. And so this is a team that, I mean, if the offense can't find a way to roll against the Bengals with all their play calls and hand signals, then it's a big time panic button time, I think, for that Patriots offense.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the Patriots haven't been able to run the ball, and the Bengals are the worst run defense. So this is the easiest movable object versus the non-existent force. You know, like which one of these teams is actually going to do the thing they suck at?
The resistible force.
Right. And for the record, the Bengals linebackers have been playing better over the last probably 3 weeks. Nick Vigil has probably had his 2 or 3 best games in a row, which wasn't enough for us to even talk about. But for him, big improvement. And Jermaine Pratt is like their only rookie left not on IR, so we got to keep talking about him. He's been attacking, you know, downhill, still not great in coverage. So the Bengals defense, I think, is going to be what's more exciting to watch about this matchup. Also, Tom Brady's fear of being hit by large people is at record highs. I'm going to reach my hand right off the screen to show how afraid he is. I'm over the top of the screen for the audio people here. He is totally afraid of everyone on the Bengals D-line, and I mean everyone. They are all hung. They all want to get one last look at that 43-year-old, but they just want to knock him down all day, and they might get to if the Patriots can't figure out how to run the ball. So that could be fun, you know. One last Geno Atkins just landing right on him. That could be fun. That could be a fun thing to watch.
He had the single most absurd throw the ball away at the feet of a blocker who just happened to be a tight end last week. And it infuriated me that by rule, they can't call intentional grounding on it. I don't know if you know the play that I'm talking about.
I don't.
But whoever they were playing last week had a free rusher, and Brady just threw the ball away 2 feet in front of him, and there was a tight end who never ever went out for a pass. Like, he was engaged blocking, didn't even have a clue that the play was over. And it just, my hate for Tom Brady grew 2 sizes too big.
Yeah.
I'm running out of sizes.
Seasonal reference.
You know, so I'm just excited to see him get scared. You know, he's going to be scared. Like, one of those guys is going to break through the line occasionally, and he's going to panic a little, and he's got the mental acuity, so a Tom Brady panic will probably end up being like a 30-yard gain. The Bengals lose Julian Edelman in zone coverage, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. He's the only guy. But until that point, when the game starts and then it ends within 5 minutes, I'm going to be excited about the idea of Carl Lawson and Geno Atkins and Sam Hubbard and Ryan Glasgow, whichever one of them isn't hurt, getting up in and seeing if they can't get one last taste of Tom Brady's helmet hitting the ground hard.
Garbage time, cheap shots. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Not rooting for injuries, for the record.
Of course not. Of course not.
I just want that on the internet.
Hurt, not injured. We want him hurt.
But seriously, the Patriots should win this game. Just like everybody should win when they play the Bengals. Like, they're not good. They're getting worse at this point. They're getting less healthy. They kind of peaked health-wise against basically the Browns. You know, they had Andy Dalton come back, and they had their wide receivers. And, you know, the ones that are actually going to play. Let's stop pretending A.J. Green is going to play this year. So I think we all agree the Patriots will win this game, and most likely by multiple scores.
Well, let's. You guys want to move on then?
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, the Browns and the Cardinals are playing at 4:00 this week. If you're a Browns fan, 4:00, quite unusual for Cleveland. But then again, we've also played on Thursday and Sunday night this year, so a lot of unusual stuff, I guess. But they're playing the Cardinals. So the Cardinals have been really strange this year. They've been up and down. Obviously, mostly down because they're 3-8-1 right now. But they've had a lot of close games. But like with that down that I said, they've also had a lot of games that kind of ran away from them. Some like 30-7 type games. Against Cleveland, obviously, the Browns should do well against the Cardinals is what I meant to say. But, you can't count the Browns out of doing Browns stuff, is basically what I got to say. The big problem with the Cardinals right now is the fact that they can't keep Kyler Murray protected. He's, I think, the most sacked starting quarterback of, eligible starts or whatever it is, with like 33 or something ludicrous like that for the number of sacks that he has on the season. Even with Myles Garrett out, they still have a strong defensive line, so if they can keep pressure on Kyler Murray, then I think that they can be successful. As far as against running or mobile quarterbacks, they faced Russell Wilson, which, with the exception of that one touchdown, they did a decent job containing him and keeping things close. They played Lamar Jackson. Obviously, they won that game. So if they stick to those things, I think that they can be successful. And they got to stick to the run game, man. Hand the ball off to Chubb. Do what you're good at. Know what you're good at. Don't put it all on Baker's shoulders. You guys kind of joked me a little bit last season or last podcast, but there is still a chance of a possibility of a scenario where the Browns could make it to the playoffs. So you need to fucking win out to prove that this season has been successful, has been more than successful, right? So not regress, but go back to what you know, what you do well, what you do good, and try to win this season out to say that, hey, look, we at least tied for possibly making the playoffs. I don't know, something. But this isn't the time to do cute shit, basically.
Yeah, is 8-8 a success, or did the preseason expectations sink that? 8-8 is still progress statistically by wins and losses.
I would say that to me, no, it's not. It's not. This is honestly, even 9-7 still feels kind of like a failure of the season. The only thing I can hope for is the idea that, like Chad kind of convinced me earlier this season when I was jumping ship, and even other things that I've started to kind of look up and listen to as well, is that consistency is really important for winning cultures in football teams. So, I can only, and as a Browns fan, you always say next year, you always say next year, you always say next year. But this is probably the best team that the Browns have had in a very long time. Baker Mayfield has thrown for the most yards, even with his record fucking interceptions, has thrown for the most yards of any quarterback since I think it was 86. So
any Browns quarterback.
Yeah, I'm sorry, any Browns quarterback. But so that's important, right? And it's important that we kind of keep that going moving forward. So now it's, if they were trying to do the cute shit earlier, right now it's kind of the time to put, the nose to the pavement and say, we're not completely out of this and we need to do what we're good at and be successful with it.
Yeah, I totally agree with your analysis of the Browns offense and what they should do. I would add a couple minor points. One, Cleveland has been incredibly strong on their first couple drives for most of this year. And I think this is one of those games where you really want that to continue, because I wouldn't even blame Arizona's offensive line so much on Kyler Murray getting sacked a lot as Kyler Murray. As the game gets a little bit away from him, he puts the burden of victory more and more on his shoulder. And like you said, some games they get blown out and he loses control of that. In some games, he kind of brings them back. Week 1 was probably the most exciting version of that when they were down, I think, 18 to Detroit, and they ended up tying that game after scoring a bunch of points in the fourth quarter. So you want to get out ahead. You want to get that first drive touchdown like Cleveland has done a really nice job doing this year, and get Kyler in that mode where he feeling like he needs to do something extra, because that's when he's taking those sacks. That's when he's making the errant throw. That's how the Steelers took advantage of him, and that's how other teams have taken advantage of him this year. The one other thing I would add is we finally got David Njoku back from injury. Let's have a welcome back party. Arizona doesn't guard tight end. The Steelers weren't able to take advantage of it because they don't have an offense that makes any sense, really. But the Browns can. The Browns can get the ball to David Njoku. This is a target that Baker Mayfield's comfortable. I think he should have at least one touchdown this week. But I'm saying 2 Njoku touchdowns this week.
That's a stretch. Njoku is so hit or miss as a Browns fan. He's very frustrating. Because there are like, he's two sides of this of a coin. He is either tight coverage, red zone target, makes the catch, fucking good to go. And then on the other side of the coin, he's third down, 3rd and 12, whatever, right? Because let's be real, the penalties will bring him back. 3rd and 12, and in completely wide open, no one around him. Wide open pass, just past the first down marker, and he just drops it out of nowhere. So like it's Njoku is like this weird dichotomy. Statistically, he's he's decent, and he looks like he's evolving, which is good. But man, he's stressful to watch sometimes for sure. But yeah, definitely right. The thing also I want to see from the Browns as well, as far as tight ends goes, is that Seals Jones keeps getting integrated, these games. He's always got like 1 or 2 really good catches, So if they have to find a way to push him into the game, I mean, look, man, do it, Don't worry too much about who's on the marquee, and worry who's going to make you plays, so.
All right, how about I amend my hot take to say this? 2 Browns tight end touchdowns, and it counts if Njoku is wide open in the end zone and drop.
Okay, that's fair. I will say that's fair. So yeah, but yeah, it's weird, man. It's such a weird enigma with Njoku, but I don't know, man. We'll figure it out. He got called out by John Dorsey in the offseason that he needs to be a better blocker. So, but unfortunately, he hasn't been able to play enough.
I think he's just a classic freak athlete who is not a great football player. He doesn't block well. He doesn't catch well. But you look at him and he looks like a football player. Yeah. And you see the potential of what he could be. And eventually it'll just be like, oh, Ricky Seals-Jones actually makes catches and makes plays. And maybe this Njoku guy just isn't cut out to be a starting tight end in the NFL.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll go away for a year or two and shed 30 pounds and come back as a possession receiver for somebody or something. But
I mean, I hope that he stays.
Go away and get fat and come back as tight ends.
I mean, I hope he stays, and if he's able to. I mean, like it was like the highlight of him on Hard Knocks is get on the fucking jugs. Right? Get on the jugs, David. So, yeah, I mean, I hope he is successful. So, as I'm sitting here bashing him, he's 63% catch rate last year out of 14 games that he started. So, maybe my bashing is a little bit harsh, but I will say that, yeah, like he's either making a contested catch in the end zone or something like that, or he's dropping a completely wide open play that needs to happen on 3rd down. So it's just 1 or 2. But that being said, I want to go with the Browns because I think that obviously overall they have the better football team. I think that they have the ability to put pressure on Kyler Murray and make him make mistakes. They've played against mobile quarterbacks this season and done decently enough. So and I think if the offense sticks to their ground game, they should be able to be successful. So picking the Browns, of course.
I think that everything you said makes sense, and I think the Browns should win. We didn't talk much about their defense, and I'm gonna attempt to rationalize picking against them, but I don't really have a rational reason. The two things I was going to say that the Browns could struggle with on defense are the empty sets. The Browns have gone from their secondary depth being an incredible strength of their team to being a pretty significant weakness, particularly at safety, despite the good play of Mr. Sheldrick Redwine. And the Cardinals run a ton of empty sets. They put running backs out at wide receiver, 4 to 5 wide receivers out on the field, which means your communication in the secondary has to be like really strong. The Browns maybe will handle it, but I think it'll be something as a Browns fan you'll want to be watching. Like, how do they do against those empty sets? Because, you know, some of these players might be on the team next year, and it's just like, you know, and also an indication of how well prepared they were, the coaching. And likewise, the communication also has to be strong with the way they use running backs. Arizona puts 2 to 3 running backs on the field at a time sometimes. They call it like 30 personnel, which I'd never even heard of that until they played the Steelers. They put David Johnson on there. They put oh Jesus, I already forgot his name. They put them all the running backs on the team are on the field at the same time. Sometimes they're lined up around the quarterback, Kyler. Sometimes they're lined up as wide receivers. There just has to be a lot of understanding between the coaches and whoever's disseminating the play call on defense for the Browns to the rest of the players, probably Joe Show. It's just not going to be an easy game to everyone where they're supposed to be. So I'll just be curious to see how the defense handles it overall. I'm picking Arizona just because I feel like this is the type of time that the Browns collapse. And I'm sorry. I just like, you know.
Don't be sorry, man.
It just feels like the type of game that the Browns would like give themselves all this hope. Like, oh, we've got a 5% chance of making the playoff.
4.
It's Arizona. It's Arizona. They have the worst defense in the NFL. And then you'll score like 28 points, but manage to give up 30.
So statistically 4%, so you were close. But 4% chance to make the playoffs for the Browns. We talked a little bit about their playoff chances last podcast. But yeah, man, you're totally right. Redwine, I'm excited, man. I don't know. He's had a couple hot flashes. Right now they're actually starting Demarius Randall, of course, rightfully so, and Justin Burris. So I don't know. Justin Burris he's aggravated me a couple of games, but you know, maybe Redwine needs some time to observe. I don't know, but I'm interested to see how he develops in the next season. I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about next season. We're still in this season. We still have a chance. Let's still talk about it. So.
Well, don't be too surprised if all 3 of those guys are on the field for a lot of this game because of the way and the formations that Arizona runs. So if you like Redwine, I would be looking for him every play and seeing what he's doing because I think he's going to be out there a lot.
Yeah, they run a lot of 3 and 4 wide. I think Chad hit it pretty good on the head. I won't go as far as to say I don't think the Browns will lose. I think the Browns will win, but it'll be closer than it should be.
Right.
And that is, we've touched on the whole like winning 101 type stuff. That's the Browns need to learn how to beat the teams that they should beat and not overlook people. They did it week 1 against the Titans. You know, and the Titans are rolling now, but they're a different team right now.
Right.
You know, week 1, I think it's probably pretty safe to say they just kind of overlooked and underestimated the Titans. And
they gave up too quick.
Hit them in the mouth and and just crushed them. So you already said Arizona's been frisky this year. They were frisky twice against San Francisco this year. So they will sneak up. And Kyler Murray, he had only one drive where he showed it last week towards the end of the first half where all of a sudden they were moving the ball really well. And the rest of the game, he looked like a rookie quarterback. But he has sustained within a game quarters and halves of showing what his potential is. And if the offense can't figure it out, that could be enough to beat the Browns in Arizona. but I think they win by like 1 score. It'll be closer than I think it should be, but
yeah, and you're probably right.
I think they win.
Well, we'll see what happens, man. I don't know. It's tough when, like you said, they haven't been winning the games that they should be winning to hang on to a game like this where, like I said, 3-8-1, and you think that they should be overwhelmingly successful. But we'll see. In other Browns news, related Browns news, Odell is not expected to sit out. I guess Freddie Kitchens is shaking off the comments, and Freddie Kitchens says that he's planning on playing Odell. So it is what
I don't
it is.
even know what you're talking about. Why would Odell be benched?
Because of his... Never mind.
No, I never even considered he wouldn't play through all this.
He's been listed on the injury report every game all year for either his groin or his hip. Questionable every single game. So
I mean, they still have something to play for.
Right, sure, sure.
I think once they're eliminated, there's a potential maybe he wouldn't play, but...
Right. So 2 things with that. The first off is that, with Baker making the hoopla about Odell's injury, it would bring to question of, okay, well, how bad is it? Is it worth it at this point to say, you know what, let's do the, if they were doing the wrong thing, let's do the right thing and sit him. And then number 2, he got hit real hard last game to that groin area. He basically jumped up for a catch because Baker threw a high ball. Surprise, surprise. And he got basically a helmet straight to the lower abdomen / groin area, which cannot feel good. And then he ended up kind of wincing in pain off the field after that. And then we didn't really see a whole lot of him for a little bit. So that's, like I said, compounded with the comments from Baker. That's why it's been kind of a Browns headline of no, Odell is expected to play. Freddie Kitchens is shaking that off. So, but also Sam Darnold, who had mono for like 4 weeks. That's right, the high school fucking kissing disease, has more touchdown passes than Baker Mayfield this season, and Baker Mayfield has more interceptions than Sam Darnold has touchdown passes. So, but
That's
anyways,
the best one.
Yeah. So anyways, let's wrap that up and move on to really kind of the marquee game this week because of the playoff implications for both teams and really for the rest of the NFL. I mean, to be completely honest. So let's talk about the Bills and the Steelers.
This is great. Everyone that's listening to this loves AFC North football. And this week you're getting it. Right now you're listening to us chat on Facebook and you're watching the Ravens somehow not score on the Jets at all in the second because they stink. And then all Sunday you're going to get AFC North football. We talked about the 1 o'clock game. The Bengals are going to shock the Patriots. Then the Browns are going to do whatever they do at Arizona. And then Sunday night, they flexed it. The NFL flexed it. They flex their muscles and they put the marquee game at night. Everyone's a watch. No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills except for the Steelers, who are going to step up and they're going to get themselves into the 5th. People were wondering if the Steelers could even be a playoff team. Now they're going to be in the 5th seed. There's going to be a playoff team that's worse than the Steelers if they win. The Steelers are playing the Bills on Sunday Night Football. Probably the most important thing about this game, at least for Joey, is that the Steelers are wearing their Color Rush uniform. Joey loves the Steelers Color Rush
I
uniform.
do too, even as a Browns fan. Yeah.
Everyone
They're really
does
good looking.
I will actually add that I like the throwbacks this year better than the Color Rush. The one with the white block numbers rather than the yellow ones. But
okay,
I digress.
Still great. So they're the second best Steelers uniforms with, something big just happened there. It looks like good things are happening for the Ravens, but we're not talking about the Ravens. The Steelers are wearing their Color Rush. On the upside, James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster are both practicing this week. I'm not super confident that either one of them are going to play, to be totally honest. I think Juju left practice early today or yesterday. And James Conner is like, I don't know. His shoulder's like all messed up. So I'm just not convinced. But at least they're practicing, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
My big thing about this game offensively for the Steelers is I don't think they want to change kind of their formula, which is they want to establish the run game, but they want to get one-on-one matchups down the field occasionally and throw it deep into these one-on-one matchups. And the funny thing about it is I kind of think that's exactly what the Bills defense, like, I think they want to spend most of their resources stymieing the Steelers' run and allow some one-on-one match. So it's very strange because usually the defense and the offense don't like want the same thing. But I think actually this week they might. Like, I think the Steelers think that they can win those one-on-one matchups. And I think the Bills also think they can win those one-on-one matchups. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see. Like, Deion Kane plays like 10 snaps a game, but he picks up a big pass interference or a big catch down the field. And Deontay Johnson and James Washington are just taking turns, making big plays and having huge games. And frankly, if Juju is back, that means Tre'Davious White just has to guard him, which means the receivers that have been making plays for the Steelers for the whole last don't have the Bills cover corner on them, which is great news.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take. Like, I just think they both want the same thing, and we'll see who wins. Like, who wins the one-on-one deep down the field coverage battles, the Steelers offense or the Bills coverage?
So you think this might be a hot flash for Deontay Johnson this game?
Well, like, was last game a hot flash? Is that what you're saying? Or I don't know. Like, Deontay played pretty well before
against Arizona. He had a hot flash. He had a hot flash against Miami, Cincinnati, and then I guess you could say San Francisco, 52 yards on 3 receptions, 6 targets.
Yeah, I'm not.
I guess what I'm saying is that you guys, I'm not totally convinced yet. Obviously, so, you have Duck Hodges and at the time Mason Rudolph throwing to him, not making these grandeur offense by any means, and he's still able to make a couple of really important plays for the team. So I'm not going to take that away from him. But I will say that I think that I need to see more before I crown him even a wide receiver 2 at this point, to be honest with you.
Totally fair. And that's why I'd love to see Juju back, because I don't think either of these guys is good enough to win those battles against a guy like Tre'Davious White. And I think that the Steelers would still throw at him in one-on-one. Like, that's the Steelers tend to shy away from corners most of the time, unless they're like first ballot Hall of Famers. And then even then, Ben Roethlisberger kind of does whatever he wants. So I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't think Deontay or James has like proven themselves to be these great talents, but the strength of it is that you don't know which one is going to die. So the Steelers go into it saying, like, if you get one-on-one coverage with either one, give them a chance to show that they're going to make a big play and have a big game. Like, we don't. So
yeah, I mean,
and the same goes for for Kane. This guy was signed like 2 weeks ago, and they're throwing him like back shoulder fades 30 yards down the field. Like, they just don't care. They're like, one-on-one cover, throw it where you can't get an interception. And for the last few weeks, the Steelers wide receivers have been making the plays. I don't know if they will this week, and that's probably why the Bills are confident they can win those. I just think it's funny because I just, in my gut, which is my analytics department, just like Mike Tomlin, I think that the Bills want that. Like, they do not want the Steelers to run for 140 yards this week. They want Duck to win the game. So they're going to give him chances to do.
I think that the Steelers just want to win. But
that's how.
Right.
That's how.
So I will say that this is probably, looking at their schedule, the best defense that the Steelers have played since week 3. You could say since week 5, but Baltimore at the time was still kind of shaping into what they are now. They weren't necessarily as solid as they are at this point. So I would really probably push it as far back as week 3. The Rams have not
no Marcus Peters, no Jimmy Smith.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
the Rams have not been what we expected them to be. The Colts haven't been what we expected to be, and the rest of it's Cleveland and Cincinnati, Arizona, Miami, so on and so forth, right? So I think that, especially even with Duck Hodges, this is a tough one. But I will say that the entire NFL, well, not the entire NFL, I would say the majority of the NFL is probably wanting the Bills to lose this one. So I'm right there with you, man. I'm trying to will this into existence. As much as I'm obviously not going to root for Duck Hodges and the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to root against the Buffalo Bills because they are a direct path or a direct hindrance to our path, like many other teams that are going to the playoffs, or trying to go to the playoffs through the wild card. And that being said, also, I think a lot of teams are also probably hoping to play the Steelers in the playoffs than they would be hoping to play the Bills in the playoffs. So I'm right there with you, man. I'm willing it into existence. I actually picked the Steelers on this one against my better judgment and my own gut, but I'm trying to will this to happen.
Yeah, and let me be clear, like, I'm not trying to make the case that the Steelers' offense is likely to put up 30 points. I think the 23 they scored against Arizona is the most they've had in, like, a long time. And that factor, there was a punt return. So, like, the Steelers need a few things to happen. We talk about it every week. They need a turnover that shortens the field more. They need big pass interference penalties to shorten the field. They need random touchdowns to occur, not created by the offense, and they need a couple deep but the pass interference, that's deep balls. Like, they have to throw deep. So that's all I was. But speaking of the defense, like this, yes, they're the best defense, but the Steelers only score like 17 points a game anyway. So I'm not really asking for them to dominate a good defense. I'm just asking for them to score like 2 touchdowns and a field. And then Josh Allen, he is struggling to throw the deep ball this year accurately, which is why the Rams didn't have a safety over, or the Ravens didn't have a safety over the top, because they could trust him to miss that. Plus, there was really windy that. And he loves throwing the deep ball. So if he's not accurate with it, but he loves doing it, guess what the Steelers are thinking? Minka all day long. Throw the deep ball and let Minka go get it. The other thing that Josh Allen likes to do is create plays where there are none, which the Steelers pass rush loves. Do you know what the Steelers defense favorite activity in the whole world is besides going bowling together? Strip sacks. Strip sacks. That's what it is. They strip sack everybody. They go get it, and then they take it away while they're knocking you to the ground. And guess what? Josh Allen has that happen. He had it happen last week, and he'll probably have it happen again if he's not making quick reads and getting the ball out. I really think that, the Buffalo is probably the best team the Steelers have played in a while, but the Steelers have won 7 of their last 8 games. Okay. They've done it coming from behind, even though they've got no offense. And they're just a good team. I'm not telling you they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're just good. Like, good teams win 7 of 8 games. That's just the way it is. You don't have to think they're great. You don't have to think they're going to win a playoff game. If you don't want, that's fair. But when they lose, which is rare now, these are the things that happen. They don't win the turnover battle. They don't win the line of scrimmage. That's what happened against the Browns. They didn't win the turnover battle, and they didn't win the line of scrimmage. These are things that can happen against the Bills. They could. So the Bills are a very valid, worthy opponent. The other thing that I don't think they have to worry about as much is that Arizona took advantage of them by running the hurry-up offense. When they looked their best, they ran the hurry-up offense. They got TJ Watt exhausted. He was over on the sideline, like, taking oxygen. And they got yards and yards and yards. I don't think the Bills' hurry-up offense is going to be as dangerous as Arizona's, to be totally honest. So that's another concern. So to me, Steelers win the turnover battle. They've done that like 10 times out of 13 games or whatever. Win the line of scrimmage. All I'm asking is for one of the top 5 offensive line and Cameron effing Hayward to go win the line of scrimmage. And then we're going to be the 5th seed in the playoffs. And I'm going to be wearing that Christmas sweater on Thursday or Tuesday.
Let's play a quick game. This is for Chad. Over under 34 points.
For the whole game?
Yep.
Because obviously that's not the Steelers' offense, right?
Oh, God, no.
I'm going to take over.
And keep in mind, this is what would it take for you to bet money? You'd say over?
Yeah, I think that this...
Oh, you just ruined my game.
I was going to say under.
The line is 35.5, and that seems like free money.
Yeah.
I think you should take the over. I think anytime the line is super weird, you take the other side. And 35 is an absurd number for an NFL game.
Granted, the Steelers' defense could score probably 21 points by themselves on return fumbles.
Yeah.
Dude, John Brown could score a freak touchdown. The Steelers' offense could just sort of explode if either Juju or James Conner comes back. 35 is also just extremely low. It's just extremely low. Like, look back at the Steelers' games. Like, I mean...
That's an interesting exercise, because I was looking at their schedule because I was going to pick apart their defenses that they've played before Justin did.
I mean, they beat Arizona 23-17. They won a game like 20.
All right. So Arizona, all right. The game before that, 33. The game before that, 26, 28, 29. The last game that was above 40 until this Arizona game was Steelers-Colts, 50.
Yeah,
that was a month and a half ago.
I would take the over just because of my analytics department. Like, anytime you have a line that's that far afield from what normal NFL is, you take the side that trends towards the mean. Like, a normal NFL game scores 40, 45 points. So you got to figure the Steelers, Bills can get to 35 or 36.
Also, the Bills are underdogs in this game.
Really?
Yeah, no, actually, that was interesting because I remember earlier I was watching the television, and everyone was picking the Steelers, man. I was really surprised by that, to be honest with you. But, I mean...
They just win. Like,
Ducks fly together, man.
Yeah. Quack.
I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, Mike Tomlin can do all the stuff that he does, and they win. Like, he rallies the team. They say no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, but, like, no one circles the wagons like whoever Mike Tomlin is asking to circle the wagon. Like, that's just the way it is. I don't know if they'll beat the Bills. The Bills are the best team they've played in a long time. I'm really excited about this game. But
yeah, we're gonna learn a lot about the Duck Hodges Steelers, I think, in this game.
They got to win the line of scrimmage, and they got to keep getting turnovers. You know, the defense has to play really, really well. And they will.
So who
Lamar's
you got,
getting
Joey?
in the rhythm, passing the football. He's dancing around, completing passes. Jets players are jumping off sides.
Is he
like
going
they
for
have
distance?
all game.
Is he going for speed?
Yeah.
All right. Who you got, Joey? Steelers, Bills.
Bills. And I will take delight in rooting so hard against the Steelers on Sunday night. It's not even funny.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I gotta take this. I got to. I have no choice but to root for the Steelers in this one, man. So, I mean, look, man. The Bills, if they get knocked out, it opens up another spot. So, all right, man.
Oh, because you need the Bills to go 0-3, huh?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, so you have to root for the Steelers.
Exactly.
Sucks for you, man.
Yeah, I know. Welcome to my world.
Desperation is a stinky cologne, but the bandwagon takes all comers.
Emphasis on the anyways. So, what do you guys, anything else you guys want to talk about? Let's talk about the polls, man. We've been missing out on the polls. So the Sheldrick Redwine Bud Dupree was a defensive player of the week for last week. It was a 50-50 split, and I'm upset that I didn't vote. It just goes to show that
Justin,
every vote counts. All right,
do
everybody?
your job.
Every vote counts.
Man.
I have no excuses.
Also, when finding a Sheldrick red wine, which I still have a hard time saying his name properly.
Yeah.
It's just a hard combination to say.
Yeah.
Picture. I realized that he's from the U.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have a little soft spot in my heart for University of Miami players because I tend to like them all. They're awesome. Ed Reed and Ray Lewis both went to the U.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Shockey's fantastic. Willis McGahee, Clinton Portis. The list goes on and on. I'm all about the U.
Yeah, there's a bunch of pictures of him with the chain.
Yeah, the turnover chain.
But so for offensive player of the week, Deontay Johnson, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb 156-44. So thank you for that. The number one NFL rushing leader. There you go, man. There you have it.
Steelers Nation, I don't want to be negative because we love and respect all of our listeners and all of our contributors to social media. But you're really letting me down. I don't want to lie either. I'm not going to lie to my people. And this tie for Bud Dupree with Sheldrick Redwine, who had a nice little game, is absurd. Like, I'll let the Nick Chubb stuff go, even though Deontay won a game. But I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
All right. Well, you guys want to talk about other games at all, or?
We can. I forgot to make my pick.
Yeah, so did I, actually. I just realized, like, oh, shit. Professionals, guys. We're professionals.
Well, it's easy to forget when you're not in the race at all for first place.
Yeah.
Right. I am in the other one, though. I was in the pole position, and I threw it away.
Intentionally. Yeah, that's right. He said, I'm going to give it up for charity. But let's talk about a good game. Which game do you guys think is going to be exciting, invigorating, and something that you're going to be glued to your television? Honestly, I'll go first, and I'm just gonna say the game that we already picked, which is the Steelers and the Bills, man. Like, even if you're not interested in either team, this is such an important game as far as playoff wildcard implications. This has everything that you would need to watch in a late night Sunday night game. So I think that the NFL did a great job flexing this game because it's worth watching for just about everyone in the AFC. So, yeah.
I'll jump in next because I don't have but one other game that I really like the look of, and I want to leave Joey in the lurch. I'm going to take the Rams-Cowboys afternoon game Sunday at 4:25 because I think, like the Steelers and the Bills, this game has stench of desperation. Like, both teams in it really, really need the win. And both teams have shown at points this season real quality and also real rankness. Like, so we could have a game, and the Steelers-Bills game could be a lot like this too, where both teams look terrible. We could have a game where both teams look good, or we could have a game where one or the other,
Right.
So I'm really interested because there's playoff implications and just identity implications for both the teams. Rams, Cowboys.
Yeah, my game this week is going to be the Texans at the Titans.
Oh, man.
It's on Sunday at 1, and I am in full playoff paying attention mode. And that is the column that I will lump this game into. I think the Titans are really good.
Don't you fucking dare.
I think. They play a brand of football that I appreciate. Derrick Henry is an absolute monster. And their coach is really likable. Mike Vrabel. Pretty much acts and looks like he could suit up today at linebacker for the Titans. He said before the season started that he'd cut his dick off for a Super Bowl and that his wife probably wouldn't even mind. And this week he was asked about the Titans being up in the power rankings and receiving recent national attention. And he said, we're trying to get to a good bowl game. So I think I'm all on board with Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry, his nickname is Tractor Cito because in college, on a famous touchdown run, a Spanish broadcast team called him Tractor Cito, which would be Little Tractor in Spanglish, basically. And I haven't actually watched a second of any of their games this year. So this weekend, I will watch the Titans at least for a little bit on Sunday at 1, and I'll be rooting for them because the Texans without Will Fuller just don't seem the same, and the Titans haven't won much in a while, and I could be down with it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I need the Titans to lose, basically. I don't know. I know the tiebreakers with the Titans, the Browns would lose, but the tiebreaker with the Texans, I'm not sure if they would win or lose. I don't know. So I'd have to look that up. But in the moment right now, because that's of what I know, and because, fuck the Titans, I guess I need the Texans to win.
What I love about this game is that if the Titans win and Joey continues to say the Titans are really good, it won't change anything about how terrible of a loss it was for the Browns. No matter how good the Titans get now.
Because it was the different Titans. It was Marcus Mariota. Yeah.
You don't have to explain it. You don't have to explain it, but you can. It's so
season
great.
Opener that I said was like the most important game of the season, and you guys laughed at me.
I don't know if I called the Browns dead after losing to the Titans in week 1.
But yeah,
but that retroactively, they were dead in week 1.
Yeah,
I just love that. I just love that no matter how many games they win in a row, and no matter how good they get from the Tannehill point to the end of their run, it won't change how bad of a loss it was for the Browns. They could win the Super Bowl, and the Browns would still, it would be inexcusable if the Browns lost in week 1.
They would inexcusably still be the Browns. Yeah. It is what it is, man.
Well, I guess I'm kind of rooting for him, too.
All right, let's talk about ugly games. Any ugly games you guys are looking at?
All the rest of them.
Yeah, I know. So I'll start off with one of them. I'll talk about the Bucks and the Lions, man. It's an easy game for me to pick because I could easily say any game with the Bucks this season is an ugly game, or any game with the Lions this season is an ugly game. And guess what? They play each other this week. So who knows what the fuck is gonna happen? Who knows what version of the Bucks you're gonna get? They've been hot lately. Detroit, David Blow kind of put some spark in their offense a little bit, but we'll see how that progresses, if it progresses at all. So I don't know. I picked the Bucks though because they've been kind of hot lately.
I picked the Bucks too because I've been picking the Bucks for a few weeks in a row now, and they even pulled it out last week when it looked like they weren't going to. Jameis's first pass of the game last week was an interception. And there's a new stat that has emerged: the Jameis Winston hat trick. And it's 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in the same game. And he did it last week. So keep an eye out for the Jameis Winston hat trick. He's going to throw for a shitload of yards and touchdowns to Chris Conley and Mike Evans and they're basically David Njoku Jr., OJ Howard, who somehow is not emerged as like a dominant tight end in the league, even though he's built like the Predator. And Jameis is going to be out there slanging it.
You just want to substitute in Chris Godwin for Mike Evans because Mike Evans is hurt.
Oh, yeah. He went on the IR this week, huh?
I have Chris Godwin. I have him in my fantasy. So
this week.
Baker's only thrown for 3 touchdowns in 1 game so far this year. But he's thrown for 3 interceptions 2 games this year. So
A lot of great Baker stats. I guess ugly game. I can't help but be infatuated with this race to the bottom of the NFL, even though it's not nearly as good as I thought it was going to be. Like, everybody's winning games now, but Dolphins are playing the Giants, and I like that the Giants are sneaking their way into this top few picks, because then there's going to have to be some talk about, like, dude, are the Giants going to take like a quarterback in the top 10 2 years in a row? And then there's like all the people that are like, yes, take a quarterback until you have an obvious one. And the other people that are like, dude, you have to fill out lots of other positions on your roster. Like, get a line, get an offensive line now. So that'll be exciting. And then the Dolphins, who are trying to tank, but are they even going to be in the top 5 at this rate? Like, they keep winning on that. The only thing they did right is pick their coach, apparently. So I think I picked the Dolphins. I don't even remember.
I actually did pick the Dolphins as well.
Also.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Fitz magic.
I picked them, and I almost changed it because I was like, am I really going to pick the Dolphins 2 weeks in a row? And I was like, yeah, sure I am. Also, the Dolphins scored 21 points last week, 7 field goals.
Gotta love that.
And almost won.
Yeah.
But they lost to the Jets, who stink.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for week 15. Jeez, man, it's almost over. I was actually counting it earlier earlier today. It's almost over, man. It's quick how it comes.
For some of us.
That's what she said. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, man, I don't know. So in about 3 weeks here, we'll be talking about the playoffs, and we'll also do some kind of season wrap-ups. We'll also do a little bit of a Pro Bowl episode as well, since we'll be kind of running thin on things to talk about, since the playoffs will obviously not have all 4 of our teams in it. So stay tuned for all of those things. We'll try to keep the Pro Bowl interesting.
We're going to do our own. We're going to do an All-Pro AFC North. It's going to be great.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
I started thinking about it today.
We should do
offensive line.
Your Madden Mutt team. That's AFC North exclusive.
We can take it offline also, but we should do like first team and second team all AFC North. Really shake it up.
Why not?
Really get deep. Yeah. Man, I mean, I guess. All right. It's a lot of stats to look up.
Go with your gut.
No, man. Use your analytics department.
It's all
for the audio listeners, they keep pointing to their chest. But but yeah, man. So what's up?
Just punt from your own 35, man. You don't need to run Nick Chubb in the first half. You don't need numbers.
Jeez. Yeah. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up week 15 previews. So check out the games, figure out if we were right, and yeah, thanks for listening, thanks for stopping by, thanks for hanging out. Catch us live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, subject to change for the playoffs. We'll probably still try to do 2 episodes a week, depending on what we can fill, but we will keep you informed on that as that comes. But like us, share us. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. We do this live, like I said, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook Live. All right, find a way to contact us, interact with us, watch us, chat with us like our good friend Gary Thomas, and we appreciate you listening to us. So, but yeah, I guess we'll catch you guys next week.
35-7 Ravens. Lamar Jackson leads the league in touchdown passes.
And he's also 9th in the NFL for rushing. So, of all rushing. So, not quarterbacks, just rushing, period. So,
he's such a good running back.
I'm saying. All right, take it easy, everybody.
Probably the best in the division.